Yo, what is going on, NFL fans? Welcome back to a very special live edition of the Jay All Day Show. What we're going to do for you today, we're going to go through all of week 6 predictions, right? And then we're going to go over some of these injuries that are going to definitely impact these games, right? So we have to be very mindful of these injuries as they start to add up, right? So we have to definitely take into consideration like big time injuries like Nico Collins for the Texans, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He's out. Luckily for the Texans, who are also probably going to be missing Joe Mixon in this game, they play the New England Patriots, right? So, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all these different games, right? And I'm going to give you my thoughts and predictions on all of these week 1 games, right? We had a great game last night between the San Francisco 49ers and Seattle. I thought San Francisco was going to win this game. I just didn't really like how Seattle was going into this game with that big loss at home to a not very good New York Giants team. It's not like it was a division game like the 49ers blowing that lead against Arizona, right? When you're losing to the Giants without Malik Neighbors and without Devin Singletary, their running back, that made me think that the San Francisco 49ers were going to win this game. The 49ers did let them back into this game, but that was probably because of that kickoff return by Seattle that I had the under in that game, and it absolutely crushed me. If that kickoff doesn't get taken back 97 yards to the house, I easily win that bet. But, that's sports betting. Sometimes crazy stuff happens, and there's nothing really you can do about it. Yo, what's going on, Pablo? Oh, the Giants killed me, man. I can't believe last week there's only 20 people left in my survivor pool, right? 20 people. And the 49ers and Seattle both somehow figure out a way to lose at home. I couldn't believe it. Me and my dad got kicked out with I think there was only 18 people left when we got the boot. So that was very, very disappointing for us. What's up, Pablo? Yeah, the Giants definitely killed us all, man. So let's get into some of these week 1 games for all you guys checking out this live stream. The first one, we got a really fun game, Jacksonville Jaguars at the Chicago Bears, but this game is actually in London, right? If we take a look at last week's games, the Bears had a big win and the Jaguars had a big win, but they both played not great teams, right? The Bears have a few wins this year, but they haven't really beat anyone good yet. So, if the Bears want to have a chance at making the playoffs, they got to beat teams like the Jaguars. I do expect them to win. At minus 110, I like the Bears bet. I'm not a huge Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I just don't think their team is very good right now. So I am going with the Bears. I think they're playing really good complementary football, right? And then on yesterday's depth chart, I saw that the running back NTN Jr., Ingram, and Gabe Davis were all questionable, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the depth charts just to get an updated injury report for you guys. Because if they're without NTN Jr., Ingram, and Davis, you got to put a bet on the Bears, man. I think that's a great spot for us to get right with some of our bets. That money, I like the money line Bears bet. Is pretty much even money. I think that's a very, very good bet for this week. And they put Duvernay, the wide receiver, they put him on IR as well. So we're dealing with a Jaguars team that is dealing with some injuries. And I'm looking at the depth chart for Jacksonville right now. Gabe Davis, Ingram, still questionable for this game. It looks like Travis Etienne is going to play, so that's a boost for the Jaguars. The Bears look pretty healthy across the board. I'm going with the Bears to win this game. Next up, guys, we have an exciting game for the Philadelphia Eagles to finally get a win, right? The Philadelphia Eagles are coming off a bye. They're taking on the Cleveland Browns, who they're legitimately the worst team in the NFL. They had a really bad performance last week against the Commanders defense, which is a bottom 5 defense in the NFL, right? So if you can't get your offense going against the Commanders, if the Eagles are even in a close game or somehow lose this game, I expect Nick Sirianni to probably get fired. He's going to get the Robert Saleh treatment, get fired in the middle of the year, even though Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, doesn't particularly like to fire coaches in the middle of the year. But the Eagles got to win this game. Devontae Smith is back. A.J. Brown is back. Lane Johnson is back. The whole band is back together, guys, and they got to get a W here. They absolutely have to get a W. I'm checking out some of your guys' comments real quick. Yeah, that boy. I'm not sure if the Jets are a lock. I do like them because they're plus money right now, but Aaron Rodgers hasn't been playing good football, and his buddy Nathaniel Hackett is no longer calling the plays, so I wonder if that's going to rub him the wrong way, right? Oh, man, I like Jaden Daniels will over Allen because the Jets have a really good defense, right? So I expect Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to want to run the ball with James Cook a lot in this game because that's where the Jets defense is beatable, guys. It's running the ball against them. I would take Jaden Daniels all day because you look at the stats. The Ravens pass defense has been very bad all year long. Joe Burrow lit them up last week for 5 tutties all day, man. Yeah, I mean, so the Browns are without a doubt the worst team in the NFL. If the Eagles, coming off a bye with all their players healthy, and they lose, how could you justify Nick Sirianni still being the head coach of your football team? If I'm Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, and the Eagles are at home, coming off a bye, getting their 3 superstars back, lose to the Browns, I'm firing Nick Sirianni that night. And I'm not even thinking twice about it. I know, Pablo. I agree, man. Like, I just can't, you can't justify having Nick Sirianni as your head coach if they lose to the Cleveland Browns at home coming off a bye. And if you look at the depth chart to the Browns right now, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offensive starters questionable, and their center, Ethan Pokic, he's out. Then on defense, they have another 1, 2, 3 guys questionable and 2 guys out. Grant Delpit and Hickman, both starting safeties for the Browns, are out. If the Eagles find any way to lose this game, Sirianni has to be fired. If I'm Sirianni and I lose this game, I'm just resigning because that's how bad of a coach I am. Honest to God. That is how unbelievably bad the Eagles are if they lose this game. Like their depth chart is the Browns depth chart is riddled with guys that are on IR, out, questionable. You cannot, coming off a bye at home, lose to the Cleveland Browns. If they do, Sirianni's got to go find a new job. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to put in Winston. I mean, Winston's probably a better fit right now, right? But man, the Cleveland Browns owe him so much money. So I was reading somewhere it's like $170 million if they cut Deshaun Watson in dead money. Oh my goodness. This Deshaun Watson deal, not only the deal, but the trade combined might be the worst deal in sports history between the amount of money that's guaranteed, all the draft picks they gave up, and you can't cut him because it's going to destroy your team and your cap. Horrible, man. Absolutely crazy, guys. If you haven't yet, do me a huge favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Help get this blasted out to everyone. I really appreciate you guys. And then the Cleveland's coming off of 3 losses in a row. Giants, Raiders, Washington, man. Man, yeah, Watson and Diddy are probably like besties, right? Jeez Louise, man. I don't even know what to say. Absolutely crazy. The Eagles got to win. If the Eagles don't win, I'm burning all my Eagles clothes. All right, I'm going with the Eagles to beat the Browns at home that are decimated by injuries. Deshaun Watson is terrible. they're just a very, very bad football team right now. A lot of guys are out and not playing. Next up, we have a really fun game, guys. The Washington Commanders on the road. The 4-1 Washington Commanders, unbelievable, against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 7-point favorites in this game. This game is going to be very, very exciting. We got a tale of two teams that offenses are pretty good, right? But both these defenses are not very good. They rank in the bottom in pretty much every single category, right? The Commanders look pretty healthy going into this game. We're going to check out the Ravens depth chart for you guys. They look pretty healthy. Ronnie Staley is questionable. Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver, is questionable. Marlon Humphreys is questionable. That's a big loss if he doesn't play in this game. It says Humphreys' lower leg was seen in a walking boot following Sunday's game. So maybe it's not looking good for Marlon Humphreys. That opens up things for Jaden Daniels. Another thing, if you have him in fantasy, could really open some things up. Terry McLaurin is that dude. And Jaden Daniels is not only elusive in the pocket, he's accurate. He doesn't turn the football over. If you watch some of my draft content, I said over and over again that Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this draft class. And he's proving me right so far. It's going to be a big test, man. Going on the road, playing in Baltimore, it's a very tough environment to play in. But if Jaden Daniels finds a way to win this game, not only is he going to be the rookie of the year, but he is a potential MVP candidate in the league. The dude has been unbelievable this year. I'm really excited for this game. So who ultimately wins this game, guys? Man, I don't know. I think it's going to be a turnover-driven game. If Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry can establish the run and keep Jaden Daniels off the field, I think the Ravens win this game. So I'm going to go with the Ravens. But I think the Commanders probably cover the 7 points, man. I'm reading some of your guys' comments. Yeah, I think the Eagles, Pablo, that's a good score prediction. 31-17 seems about right. But even if the Eagles give up 17, I'll be disappointed, to be honest. But this Ravens-Commanders game is going to be super exciting. So many eyes are going to be on this game, everyone. So put your seatbelt on. It's going to be really exciting. Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, a lot of people are comparing their games. But honestly, I think Jaden Daniels is a more accurate passer than Lamar Jackson is. And the Commanders have a true number one wide receiver in Terry McLaurin. The Ravens really don't. I don't consider Zay Flowers. He'd be a great number 2, but he's not that true X wide receiver in my opinion. So I'm going to go with the Ravens to win this game, but it's going to be a close slugfest game. Next up, we got a really fun game, guys. Houston Texans on the road versus the New England Patriots. The Patriots are starting Drake May. This is his first game as a New England Patriots starting quarterback. But the Houston Texans don't come without their flaws. The offensive line has underperformed steadily this year. You know, they haven't been great. Joe Mixon is still hurt for some reason. He's not playing. No Nico Collins as well. And also, the Houston Texans are the most penalized team in the NFL. They really got to clean it up. Luckily, they're without their superstar Nico Collins, who's on IR, so he's going to miss 4 games. But luckily, they got Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs still on that roster, right? And CJ Stroud is continuing to be very successful on third down. They got to cut out the penalties, right? But D'Amico Ryan's defense against a rookie quarterback in the Patriots, I like the Texans to win this game. And I think they probably cover the 6.5 points. Drake May is not a very accurate passer, right? And when you have an offensive line that's not very good, they're probably the worst offensive line in the NFL. Them and the Bengals are really bad offensive lines. The Seahawks are up there as well, too, in my opinion. Just terrible offensive lines. It's going to be tough for Drake May, right? I don't know what the game plan's going to be going in, but I'm expecting a lot of short passes, a lot of checkdowns. We'll see how that works out. But I'm going with the Houston Texans minus 6.5 points. You know, so if we look at the offensive line for the Texans, not great. Tunsil, 64.9 grade. Green, left guard, 46.2 grade. Howard, right tackle, 69 grade. they haven't been particularly good. And all three of them were questionable earlier in the week. I'm going to pull up the depth chart and see if we have any updates on the offensive linemen for the Texans. I still think they should beat this Patriots team, but going on the road, highly penalized team. The last time they were on the road, they got blown out by the Vikings. Obviously, the Vikings are a lot better than the Patriots, but this game could be close. Yeah, Joe Mixon's questionable. It looks like Tunsil is not questionable anymore. Left guard, right tackle are still questionable. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, Pablo, I agree. I think the Texans 24-10, 24-13 sounds about right to me, guys. It's going to be a really exciting game nonetheless. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch because I want to see how Drake May looks. I'm going to be watching just from a fan's perspective to see how Drake May looks. Doesn't got a lot to work with. I expect a lot of plays to the tight end in this game. I think a lot of the game's going to be schemed up to Hunter Henry, the tight end. A lot of checkdowns, short passes. I'm going with the Texans to win this game. All right, now let's move on to another fun game. Arizona Cardinals versus the Green Bay Packers, guys. The Green Bay Packers, they lead the NFL in turnovers, right? It's really saving their butts because they're a beatable team through the air especially and through the run. So unless they keep forcing turnovers, this defense could potentially be in trouble as the season goes along because they're getting turnovers at a historical rate right now. The Arizona Cardinals had that great come-from-behind victory on the road versus the 49ers. I don't like that they're road visitors back-to-back weeks, right? They're getting 5.5 points against the Packers. Jordan Love hasn't looked particularly great so far. He's been a little inaccurate with the football, right? So I think the Cardinals are live dogs in this, man. I think they're live dogs. They're coming in at plus 190. I mean, betting them at almost plus 200 is not a bad idea to me, man. Yeah, the Packers, the only thing that concerns me with this Cardinals offensive line is so-so, and their defense hasn't been great, but they showed up last week in the second half, right? This defense, no points allowed to the 49ers in the second half last week. Do they carry that momentum going forward? I'm going with an upset here. I like the Cardinals to potentially win this spot, especially the plus 5.5. The plus 5.5 looks more juicy to me than the straight money line at plus 190. If you can even get better odds if you take away a point and get plus 5 points. You're probably in the, plus money-ish range. I like the Cardinals in this spot, guys. I really do. I really, really do. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been impressed with Jordan Love. Packers fans, do not kill me. But he's been throwing a lot of picks. He looks kind of, deer in the headlights in the pocket a little bit, kind of rushing throws. He's been a little inaccurate so far, right? That defense is saving their ass with all those turnovers, man. They're doing a great job forcing turnovers, an excellent job. It's very impressive. Xavier McKinney has been a huge addition to that defense. And what are the Giants doing, letting Xavier McKinney walk? What a horrible – can you imagine Xavier McKinney, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence? That defense would be very formidable. I don't like that. There's some guys questionable for the Packers too. Christian Watson, Tucker Kraft, who's been like a safety valve for Love so far. I mean, if we go over Love's stats this year, 8 tutties, 5 interceptions. His QBR, 46.3, ranks 23rd. They paid him a lot of money pretty early, guys. So I like the Arizona Cardinals to win this game. Yeah, I mean, so I did a ton of research on that boy Claus. I did a ton of research. So the last 3 games against the 49ers and the Seahawks all were under 49 points. But it only takes one play to blow it up. When they did that kickoff and the Seahawks returned it for a touchdown, they put up 7 points in 10 seconds. It just blew out my bet. So when you pick the under, it only takes one dumbass thing like that to happen. and then you're going to lose your bet, right? And then that forced a bunch of other points later on in the game. So it really changed the game flow and like how a lot of other games that they've played, it stinks because I did the research. It was looking like we were going to cash, and then that kick return happened and made the game closer. It forced the 49ers to get back on offense. It forced the Seahawks to want to try to get back into the game by throwing passes and scoring more points. So it really banged me up a little bit, guys. So I'm taking the Cardinals over the Packers, right? Next up, we have another fun game. We're going to move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints, guys. The Saints are getting 3.5 at home. The Buccaneers are coming off a mini bye playing last Thursday. It looks like Luke Godecki, their right tackle, is going to be back for this game, and they really missed him. That Skull guy who replaced him has been awful. He got his lunch eaten each and every week. He was bad. He was really, really bad, guys. So that's a huge return for the Buccaneers, everybody. A huge return. I like the Buccaneers in this spot. I really like the Buccaneers in this spot. Godecki's going to be back. They're coming off a mini bye. Saints have no Derek Carr. Kamara and Shaheed are both questionable. Center and the right guard for the Saints are both questionable as well. I like the Buccaneers to cover the 3.5 points. I wish it was 3 and not 3.5, but at minus 170, that seems like a pretty good bet to me. I like the Buccaneers. Coming off the mini bye, they're getting healthy. I want to check the depth chart. I want to see if Antoine Winfield's going to be back yet, because he's a huge loss in that secondary for them. But coming off the mini bye, getting Luke Godecki back on the right side of that offensive line, it's huge, man. It's big for them. Yeah, but Pablo, that sounds about right. 28-17 sounds like right in the neighborhood that I like. Bucky Irving's really coming on. He had that big fumble, though, last week. I really like him. Graham Barton, the center, is questionable as well. Let's see if there's any notes on that. No notes on that. Godecki looks like he's going to play. Antoine Winfield and Jordan Whitehead, the safeties for Tampa Bay, are both questionable. It says Antoine Winfield was limited in practice on Wednesday. There's no other updates on Winfield, but I still like Tampa Bay. Todd Bowles' defense, very aggressive defensive-minded coach, going against a rookie and Spencer Rattler. Whitehead and Winfield both practice, so I'm expecting both of those guys to play. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next up, we got the Colts and the Titans. The battle of two bad teams. This was a pick-em game earlier in the week. Now money's starting to come in on the Titans at minus 2.5. Anthony Richardson looks like he's going to play, but he hasn't been good. He has not been good this season, guys. He's been actually pretty awful. He's only completing around 50% of his passes. I want to just see if I can have a quick update on Anthony Richardson, if he's going to play. He's still questionable. Michael Pittman is out of this game, so he's not playing at all. It says, per Coach Steinsteichen 1 hour ago, Richardson will be listed as questionable for Sunday's game versus the Titans and is considered a game-time decision. But he's been awful. 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, only completing 50% of his passes. Not great. He hasn't been good. He's not very accurate with the football. It looks like Josh Downs is questionable as well. He did participate in Friday's practice. So it looks like Josh Downs is going to be not questionable anymore. He's going to play. But Joe Flacco looks pretty good in this offense, man. Yeah, the Colts, they have not looked good so far. Anthony Richardson is, I don't know, man. I need to see more out of him. You need to complete at least 60% of your passes in the NFL. More like 65% to be an actual legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. He's only completing 50% of his passes, 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. If you have more interceptions than touchdown passes, you're not having a good season, man. He's looked bad, straight up. Who do I trust more? I think I trust Joe Flacco more than I trust Will Levis. I want to check the Titans. They have some good defensive players that have been questionable all week. So we got to see how that defense looks. The offense looks pretty good, but it looks like Jeffrey Simmons is going to play. That's a huge addition coming back for the Titans. I think that's probably why some line movement came in on the Titans. Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best D linemen in the NFL, guys. But Awuzie, the cornerback they brought in from the Bengals this offseason, he's on IR. So that's going to open up some opportunities. But Will Levis and the wide receivers have been awful. Calvin Ridley, Boyd, and Hopkins all MIA this year. I actually look for Tony Pollard to have a very good game. The Colts defense has been trash all year. Not very good at all. All right. I think I'm going to go with the Colts in this game, but I would stay away from this game from a betting perspective. I don't like it at all. Now, let's move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Raiders. Another very interesting game. The Raiders are banged up, guys. It looks like O'Connell is going to be the starting quarterback for the Raiders. Adams and Myers are both questionable. 3 offensive linemen are questionable. I mean, and Pittsburgh looked very beatable in that game against the Cowboys last week. The Cowboys were actually pretty effective running the ball against the Steelers, which surprised me. The defense wasn't great, and Justin Fields is not that dude. I don't think he's very good at all whatsoever. Guys, if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. It really helps us grow this channel. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're currently closing in on 9,200. I need your help getting us to the next level. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Raiders, right? I guess I'm going to go with the Steelers by default because the Raiders are incredibly dysfunctional right now. They're defunct. They're dysfunctional. They're just bad. The locker room is lost. Antonio lost the locker room. I don't like this situation for the Raiders. But Justin Fields stinks, dude. For me, it might be time to see what Russell Wilson's got. Because Justin Fields, he was like, 2 for 13 on third down against the Cowboys, against a Cowboys defense that was missing DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. Not very good, man. I don't have a lot of faith in Justin Fields. He doesn't give his wide receivers opportunities to catch the ball. He's missing out of bounds. He's missing short. He's missing way over their heads. He's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan. If I was Mike Tomlin, I would see if Russell Wilson is healthy, you got to see what he can do. I think he'll be a little more accurate than Justin Fields. That's what I would do. I'm going with the Steelers by default because the Raiders are a dumpster fire right now. Next, let's move on to the Chargers versus the Broncos. This is a very tough division game. Chargers are coming off a bye, okay? And the Broncos have been playing a lot of tough games, a lot of gritty, close games. So we got to be a little bit aware of that, right? It looks like all the guys that were questionable this week are moving towards playing for the Chargers. Joey Bosa looks like he's not going to play. He did not practice on Wednesday. It's a hip injury. The Bosas just can't stay healthy, man. This is going to be a very close game. I do like the Broncos and the points, but I don't know, man. The Broncos defense has been very, very good. But Jim Harbaugh defense going against a rookie quarterback. I think I'm going to go with the Chargers to win this game. But spread-wise, maybe taking the Broncos in the 3 points isn't a bad idea. This is a very tough test for both of these teams. Whoever wins this game has a lot of momentum on their side for a potential wild card berth. I know we're only in week 6, but this is a huge game for both of these teams. Let me know in the comments, who do you think is going to win, Chargers or the Broncos? I originally thought the Broncos were going to win, but the Chargers coming off the bye, they look like they're getting healthy. I like the Chargers in this spot for sure. All right, let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins, man. You like that? You like that? Kirk Cousins, come behind victory after come from behind victory. He's been as advertised, man. He's coming up with big-time throws at big points in the game. You know, the older he gets, the better he gets. It's really crazy. I like the Falcons to blow out the Panthers. The Panthers defense, no Derek Brown, no Shaq Thompson. I think Adam Thielen's still hurt. I don't know. Andy Dalton's Andy Dalton. I like the Falcons. They have a decent defense, not a great defense. It's just an average defense. But the offense, is really starting to click with Mooney and London. I look for them to get Bijan Robinson a lot more involved this week because the Panthers aren't particularly good at stopping the run, right? So I like the Falcons in this spot. Yeah, Falcons have been getting people paid. The Falcons are getting people paid, guys, for sure. Got to get a little coffee in my body. But yeah, I think they cover the 6 points too. Panthers got blown out last week. I think the Falcons cover the points pretty easily. We'll have to see how that works out. But I like at minus 108, 6-point spread. I really like the Falcons to get a W in this spot. That connection with Mooney, I want to see Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson get a little more involved. Yeah, Pablo, you think the Panthers can score 21 points? Ooh, I'm not sure about that, guys. We'll have to see. But I like Kirk Cousins in this spot. I like Bijan Robinson fantasy-wise, daily fantasy-wise, to have a big game. The Panthers aren't too good at stopping the run. I like this spot. Here's another bet I really like this week, guys. So you can get the Lions money line at minus 166, and you're laying 3 points at minus 120. I don't like that at all. If I'm a Lions fans, this is a great betting opportunity in my opinion. The Lions are also coming off a bye. Minus 166 favorite. That's my biggest bet of the week is the Detroit Lions money line over the Cowboys. DeMarcus Lawrence is not playing. I don't think Micah Parsons is going to play. Even if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. So for me, Cooks is on IR. Parsons is still questionable. I like the Detroit Lions for sure. You think the Cowboys, Pablo, are going to get a victory versus the Lions coming off a bye? That's a stretch, man. That's a stretch. That is a stretch, in my opinion, especially how Dak did not play great last week. Parsons did not practice on Wednesday. I don't expect him to play in this game. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see it. I don't see the Cowboys with that running. That running game is trash. No Cooks this week. They got 2 inexperienced wide receivers behind CeeDee Lamb. And they have 2 rookies on their offensive line. If I'm the Lions, I'm putting Aiden Hutchinson on the edge versus the Cowboys and letting him cook. I'm letting him cook all day long. I'm not even thinking about it. I think Aiden Hutchinson has another 2-3 sack game. Yeah, the Cowboys haven't looked good at home. Yeah, I mean, I watched the Steelers last week, and I didn't see a number 1 defense last week against the run offense of the Cowboys, and 2 rookies on the offensive line. Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott had decent games. I'm putting Aiden Hutchinson on Tyler Guyton all day long and letting him eat that rookie up all game long. I think that's a great way for the Lions to get to Dak Prescott. I think the Lions sack Prescott at least 3, maybe 4 times. Yeah, but the Cowboys got 2 rookies starting on the offensive line. I don't know. They got blown out by a Saints team that's not very good. The Lions are coming off a bye, ready to rip. Ugh. No Micah Parsons, no DeMarcus Lawrence. I like the Lions all day long. All right, next up, guys, we got the Bengals at the Giants. This game could go either way, guys. This game could go either way. I like this spot for a very high-scoring game. Bengals and the Giants. Oh, man, 2 defenses that aren't particularly great, especially the Giants have a good-ish front 7. They got a great D-line, but their secondary is very, very, very bad. And Joe Burrow has been cooking, guys. Joe Burrow has been cooking, but the Giants ripped my heart out last week like 100 times beating the Seahawks. With no Neighbors and no Devin Singletary, to beat the Seahawks at home still blows my mind. But no Neighbors again this week. So no Malik Neighbors. It looks like Devin Singletary's probably going to play, but rookie Tyron Tracy looked pretty good. I think the Bengals win this game, but it's going to be close. If the Giants won, I wouldn't be surprised. But Joe Burrow knows he's going to have to get the ball out quick against not a very good secondary. I think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase ball out and get the W. I like the Bengals in this spot. The Giants looked pretty good last week. Daniel Jones, for as crappy as he can be, he plays tough. So he plays tough. So it's going to be a close one. I'm going with the Bengals. All right, guys. And our final game of the week, Monday Night Football, Buffalo Bills, New York Jets. The Jets fired Robert Saleh. I still don't really understand that. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Robert Saleh getting fired by the New York Jets midseason. I mean, it's not like the defense has been performing bad, right? So I don't and Robert Saleh is a defensive-minded coach. Nathaniel Hackett's the offensive coordinator, but an offense that's not playing well, so you fire the head coach. Like, make it make sense to me. Like, I don't understand the philosophy behind it. You know, the defense held the Vikings high-flying offense to only 23 points. Broncos to only 10 points. Patriots to only 3 points. Titans to only 17. And then week one is it's week one. So the defense has been playing pretty good. And then now you fire Robert Saleh. Let's look at Aaron Rodgers and this performance last week. Oh, wait. Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions. I guess that's Robert Saleh's fault because he threw 3 picks. And a 43 QBR and a rating of 54.9. How is that Robert Saleh's fault? How? I just don't get it. Make it make sense to me. Like, the Vikings only scored 23 points against the Jets defense. They sacked him 4 times. And now Robert Saleh gets fired after Aaron Rodgers throws 3 picks. And then Aaron Rodgers is going to say, oh, I talked to the owner Monday night. And then he fires Robert Saleh on Tuesday. And he had no idea about it. Give me a break, Aaron Rodgers. Give me a break. Aaron Rodgers is a pathological liar. Pathological. He lies so much that he believes in his brain that he's telling the truth. Like, Aaron Rodgers is a textbook narcissist where everyone else is always the problem. There's a reason why no one in his family talks to him. And everywhere he goes, issues arise. I just find it hard to believe that Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with this. And then on Monday, after talking to the owner on the phone, it never came up that they were going to fire the head coach the next day. I think Aaron Rodgers is full of shit. Stinky, horrible poop. And Aaron Rodgers played like garbage. 3 picks against a decent Vikings defense. He only threw for 244 yards, 43 QBR. And then they can't run the ball either. Jets can't run the ball. They can't pass the ball, but that's somehow Robert Saleh's fault. I don't get it. Ephraim, I agree, man. I think Nick Sirianni is a Browns loss away from getting fired. Yeah, I mean, the Jets are 2-3. That division with the Tua injury is wide open. But firing them isn't going to make the offense better. They removed the play calling from Nathaniel Hackett. So why not just fire Nathaniel Hackett and go get a new offensive coordinator and see if we can rejuvenate some juice? And now the defensive coordinator of a unit that's been okay, you know what I mean, is now the head coach when the head coach is actually running the defense. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think the Jets need an offensive coordinator that's not Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah, Dennis Allen, the Saints are really reeling. They've lost 3 in a row. Yeah, I think the Jets should have waited till at least halfway through the year, right, guys? Halfway through the season. We're only 5 games in. They're 2-3. I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers has had more to do with this than we think. If we look at the Jets' upcoming schedule, guys, they got the Bills, Steelers, Patriots, Texans, Cardinals, some winnable games there. Yeah, I mean, I think the Saints are just coming back down to earth. I think they were overachieving a little bit the first couple of weeks. And Derek Carr is just a mediocre quarterback. He's not great. And then the Saints lost that one game to the Falcons because Shaheed fumbled a kickoff in the end zone. So some silly stuff has happened, some bad luck, you know. But yeah, the Saints are definitely coming back down to earth. That's for sure, guys. They're coming back down to earth. They haven't played good football, straight up. So yeah, I mean, that's where we're at, guys, with this week. Yeah, I mean, 100%. I agree with you 100% about the Rodgers LeBron comparison, where like Aaron Rodgers wants to be the coach. He wants it my way or the highway. But then you go out and you throw 3 interceptions and then the head coach gets fired. And Aaron Rodgers is talking about accountability, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I'm not a big Aaron. I like Aaron Rodgers' game from an NFL, like what he's done over the last 15 years. But I think he's washed. I still think in his brain he thinks he can play, but he can't play anymore. He can't get out of the pocket. He gets sacked a lot. He threw 3 picks last week. I think this Aaron Rodgers experiment may have run its course. You know what I mean? If I'm the Jets, I would like to see Jordan Travis play a little bit, to be honest. Yeah, Pablo, I definitely think that Doug Peterson's on the hot seat too. 1-4 start. They very well could have lost that game and been 0-5. They're definitely underachieving. The Bears, we'll have to see what happens this week. If they lose again, Doug Peterson's definitely on the hot seat for sure. Definitely on the hot seat, guys. All right, everyone. I'm going to wrap up this live stream. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. These are my picks. I'm going to do a long form video with some injury reports on the channel, but I want to try this little live format out to talk about these games and see if we can start building an audience with these live streams. I appreciate you guys tuning into them. You guys have been great supporting the channel. I mean, we're cruising on the 10K. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Good luck with all your bets this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.